I'm making this video with mixed feelings. I remember when I made a similar video. That video drew a lot of people to my channel. And it's sad that I have built a large audience that are interested in moving to Saudi Arabia from different nations. And I'm sad to break this news to you people that I have left Saudi Arabia. And as at the time of shooting this video, I am in Nigeria. I am very sure of this, that by the time this video is going to go live, I'm in Australia, because yes, I've left Saudi Arabia for Australia. In this video, I'm going to cover just two broad topics. The first is the reason why I left, and the second is what I'm going to miss about Saudi Arabia. And I need to do that so that it shouldn't discourage you at all, because I have my personal reasons for living, and that might not align with what you want for your life. So please, this should not in any way discourage you from moving to Saudi Arabia if you're interested in. So if this is something that you want to watch, let's dive in. I decided to divide the reasons why I left into two broad reasons. And the first is personal, the second one is in the context of my family. For the personal reasons, I'm looking at it in the context of me as a medical doctor and also me as a social being. Then for the family reasons, definitely I'm a married man with a wife and 3 children. Even if I am not too convinced personally to leave, my family is also sufficient reason for me to leave. And at the end of this video, I hope you understand with me, especially many of you that had been invested towards moving to Saudi Arabia. For the personal reasons, the major reason is I wanted to train, and I didn't want to do it in Saudi Arabia. I believe that it's going to limit me in some certain ways. Personally, I prefer to train in Western countries. It will be easier for me at the end, when I'm done with my training, to come back to the Middle East. I really don't know how broadly accepted training in the Middle East is globally compared to if you train in Western countries. What I know is that the Middle East usually accepts doctors that train in Western countries, and the pay is way more handsome than people like us that move directly from Nigeria. So I saw it as an opportunity. Let's say it's probably a pause for me in the Middle East to go somewhere, train, become a better doctor, a bigger doctor, and then if need be, return to Saudi Arabia or any part of the Middle Eastern countries and continue. By then, that's when someone will be seeing the real doctor money, and it's part of why we're training, to put food on the table and also prepare the table. Yeah, I got an opportunity to move to Australia and not just be a doctor there, but there are chances, very high chances of me to train, and that's what I intend to do. And then by the time I'm done, I will know what to do from there. Maybe remain in Australia, most likely, and there are reasons for that. It will be for a video for another day, or come back to the Middle East, because I have very fond memories of the Middle East. And this is something I will share with you towards the end of the video as to what I miss about the Middle East. Then for social reasons too, I am a Christian, and unlike many of the Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia is made up of 100% Muslims. Their citizens are 100% Muslims. So there's really no physical church in which you can gather to have fellowship with other people. And you know, for Christians, the Bible says we should not neglect the gathering of the brethren. So in as much as they don't stop you from having all these online services and the rest, you missing gathering with people in a physical church is something that cannot really be underplayed. I miss that. So I know that in as much as many Western countries are not really religious per se, you still have a lot of physical churches that you could meet and then interact with people. It's also good for me. I wasn't isolated in Saudi Arabia, but this is something that is really a very important factor in my life too. So I just knew that it was a matter of time. I had spent over 3 years there. I couldn't continue for more years without having this experience again. These are the two broad reasons why I'm leaving, but they are not even as convincing as the reason why I'm leaving based on my family. And this is what I want to share with you. The first reason in terms of my family is my first daughter is already 4 years and she needed to start school. I happen to work in Serbia, and Serbia is a city, it's not a rural area. We that work in cities are not as much compared to those that work in rural areas. So yes, I could find an international school if I search for it. But the thing is, apart from the structure, that is they going to physical school, they would also want to relate with their schoolmates. And because there is no international school quite close to where we stay, it will be difficult for them because they'll just go to school and meet the kids there and then come back home. They are not really neighbors that they could maybe hang out once in a while or so. So in as much as they might be able to get the academic benefits of going to school, the social thing will not really be as full as you have these international schools quite close. So the children can also interact with each other both in school and outside school. So that's my first daughter. The other one is growing. She's almost 2 years now, and she too will start looking for school. And I was like, this is not a challenge I'll have when I move to a Western country. I decided to make the move now before it's too late. And somehow again, because of how they had grown up with us, it had affected my first daughter's speech. She wasn't really speaking because she didn't have children to really flow with. And I don't know whether they don't flow with us adults in as much as we communicate with her. They had moved to Nigeria since the middle of last year, 2024, because we were expecting our third baby. And eventually she was being enrolled into a school pending when I came to move there. And within the first time that she went to the school, her mouth just opened. Now Ellis is talking like one boss. And this what a few months, let's say about 3 to 4 months of school had done to her. I am sure of this, that if we remain at Saudi Arabia, it will still be a challenge. As she's speaking, it will be easier for her siblings to also pick up because they have someone to communicate with. But if she's not able to speak properly, it's going to be something that the other siblings were going to struggle with. So it didn't suit them long term. Apart from so both the education and the daughter. NEPA took the license. Nigeria for you. So it's very important, especially the early years, that they learn all they need to learn and their brains develop healthily. So they need the environment to enhance that they grow as much as they can. And keeping them indoors always would not help. They need to go out and everything, which is something that would have affected them too, because I am the only one that speaks fair Arabic. My wife didn't learn, she didn't need to learn. And so the children wouldn't be able to communicate with other children around also. So that environment was not really ideal for them personally. I've heard stories of many foreigners that brought their children to Saudi Arabia, and that affected them. Some that had even started speaking regressed, and their speech was not as good again. This is already enough reason for me, irrespective of my personal reasons, to move them somewhere that they will really grow. And Nigeria, for me, for now, is not an option at all. They will visit, but moving back to Nigeria, since the problems that took me out of Nigeria have not still been corrected, there's no point in returning to Nigeria, as I have opportunities to be in other places too. So that's it. Then the other reason is we also have better opportunities. The kind of visa that was being given to me and my family is that I was the only one that will be able to work. My wife cannot work in Saudi Arabia, and I understand purely why this is so. Because the workforce in Saudi Arabia is made up initially majority of foreigners, and they're trying to encourage their citizens to come out and join the workforce, which also helps them grow economically compared to if your labor is made up of foreigners. These people will move more money out of the country because their families are usually outside, compared to if your workforce is made up of majorly citizens. It means they will invest in the country, and that boosts the economy. Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify its economy and move away from solely relying on oil. So I understand that. Because of that, if they had given us the visa that my wife is coming to work also, it means that not just me, but my wife having a job also somehow to an extent hinders a citizen from getting a job. So this is something that I bear no grudges against. I totally understand. But in Western countries, there are no such things. So my wife also, for the past 3 years, had not been able to work, and she's someone that loves working. So moving out was going to help. She was going to also further develop herself, and if she wants to go to school, it's easier for her to do so. And the children too, is the same thing. Then in Western countries, you staying over time grants you the opportunity to get maybe a permanent residency or citizenship. The Middle East does not do that to you. You could get citizenship as a foreigner, but you have to stand out in some certain ways. So for the fact that we're also Christians, that somehow makes us a bit disadvantaged no matter how well we excel. It's not as if they are biased, but I really understand how dicey it is in the country. But moving over to a Western country confers such opportunities for us. So imagine you being in Nigeria and also being a citizen of another country. It helps you to really, really thrive in life, because these are our green passport. You get ACP. So these are the major reasons why we felt it was time for us to move. And as I said, this should not discourage you from moving if you want to Saudi Arabia. I'll now conclude with what I really miss about Saudi Arabia, and I'll start with my experience with the people there. I've done a video in which I talked about the nice experience I've had in Saudi Arabia, and that had not changed. In as much as you once in a while meet people that their heads are touching, but the truth is, most people I met have been very, very cool people. They've been super nice to me, and they're very warm, they're very expressive people. Many people have that impression as if Middle Eastern people are very aggressive also. I find it as they are more expressive. When they're excited, you would know. They would reveal it to you. When they are not happy with you also, they learn to express that. They are quite expressive in that way. So I really miss people that warmly embraced me and had taken care of me. I had also worked in a place that, despite the fact that it was quite hectic, but I had colleagues that were very supportive and very cooperative. In as much as, yes, there is this saying that your colleagues at work are not your friends, but somehow to an extent, I have found a few friends in my place of work. Sincerely, I have. So I'll miss those people. I've started missing them already. But we have to move on. That's life for you. We cannot continue to remain in our comfort zone. Then another thing I will miss about Saudi Arabia is its security. It's a very, very secure country. You're not scared that you will be robbed or some things will be stolen from you. I was working in a place that I closed most times by 12 midnight, and I usually walk home. It's about 40 minutes walk from my place of work. I do that deliberately to exercise, or else this sedentary lifestyle will kill someone. And never for once was I scared of removing my phone to talk or send some messages or so. No one. I wasn't scared of anybody robbing me. There are some occasions that you even leave your door open without locking it, and you're sure that nobody's going to break into your room also. So it's a very secure country. I was telling my wife that by the time we leave Saudi Arabia, we have to reset our heads so that we don't carry that kind of carefree mind to wherever we're moving to. And based on what I've heard and I've researched, Australia is quite secure, but I don't think it's as secure as Saudi Arabia, so we have to be quite careful too. But we'll be fine last. Then the next thing that I miss, which probably is the last thing, there are many things I'd already done a video about that, that's why I'm just summarizing, is the pro-family value that Saudi Arabia tends to have. I'm someone that loves family, and I love to stay in a place that people also value family. We live in a world now that the importance of family is being downplayed, but I am glad to be in an environment that people appreciate family, and you see it. So I just hope that wherever I'm going to find such an environment that not just me but my family is going to also thrive. I am moving to Australia. I've gotten a job there, and our next couple of videos now will be about migration to Australia. So I'm sorry for my Saudi fans. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't be doing videos about Saudi Arabia based on updates that I'll be getting. Definitely I'll be dropping videos for those that are still interested. But if you're someone that's interested in Australia, then welcome. This channel now is going to guide you based on my personal experience and some research that I'm going to do on how to move to Australia. So thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.